Morning, good evening, or good night, or good morning, wherever you are around the world. I thought I'd give my weekly live a bit of a revisit on a past topic, that of self-sabotage. Now, this week has been a very interesting week for me. I've been bumping up against familiar habits of mine, the ones that cause me to get in my way, which is why I thought it'd be good idea for me to stand by my promise to deliver the live on this particular topic, as I was bumping up against it myself. Because what you find with most things, it's not a one and done. It's, as the saying goes, new level, new devil. So it's always good for me to revisit past topics and also to share what I've learned as a result. Some of which you probably heard it before, but I also want to offer, as I do a lot of research, a lot of studying, I also reflect on my own personal experiences. I like to add a bit of flavour to the topic as well. So I hope you can stay with me and also enjoy the beautiful flowers. I don't feel like I've not felt compelled to be on camera recently. I thought I'd share some beautiful flowers. That's something I enjoy doing for myself and to beautify my space. So I hope you enjoy them. And my arrangement's kind of got a bit messy because I changed the water with some new food. So yeah, there it is. So what I would like you to think about as I talk is what it means to you when I say to be at the cause instead of at the effect. I'll say that again, to be at the cause instead of the effect. The reason being, I'm inviting you to recognise the effect you have, your personal impact on an individual level, so that you can start to experience for yourself where you could be possibly self-sabotaging, and to start to identify and be conscious and aware of where it's happening for you so that you can start working on it. Now, a lot of what we think is normal isn't actually normal. So a perspective I offer here is to think about what you're doing, be conscious of what you're doing, and really see it from a different perspective, the impact it could be having on yourself and others, as a motivation and hopefully inspiration, because one is inward and one is outward, one is external, one is internal, so that you can start to shift what needs to be shifted. And this means that you're more aware, more conscious of the things you're doing, so you can see for yourself how you're getting in your way. And this is in the way of what you does, because it's either what is desirable or undesirable, what is wanted or unwanted. And if you're getting outcomes and results that are not desirable, not what is wanted, you do need to start asking yourself questions about why that might be, and start to delve into it a little bit more, because it's not going to just happen overnight. It does take effort, it takes conscious attention and intention to make corrective or make adjustments so that you start to get closer to the things you want. And as I explained, this week for me, I had some familiar habits that I thought I'd addressed, and when I started to explore what's getting in my way here, and I had to also accept it wasn't something outside of me, it wasn't external, it was something going on within me, that I started to realise that I was experiencing, I wasn't clear, so it made sense for me to get into a process where I was identifying what's preventing me from taking the action that I need to take in this particular instance, and work back from there. And this is what I'm meaning about being at the cause, not at the effect. So I was experiencing something that I didn't want, wasn't desirable, and to work back from that, I identified what was happening for me, and this was a thinking style that was preventing me from taking action, which was fear-based in nature, and to figure out for myself what was that fear about. And I'll go into detail when I come to that bit of the live. So please do stay with me. I promise I'm going to give you some ideas, some signs, some ideas to try on, because I'm not you. What works for me may not work for you, but it's at least a starting place. Because like I said, if you're getting outcomes and results that are not desirable, not what is wanted, the invitation is to take responsibility for that, because it's not going to happen as what I like to say, osmosis. It's not just going to happen. It does require some effort and work on your part. So there's things that I've spoken about, and I'm going to talk a bit more about them as I progress my weekly lives. And this is universal laws. I have done a specific live about this. I think I did it late last year, which is the law of cause and effect. I am certain, because I am seeing it in operation, I can see evidence to support the law of cause and effect, law of right action, is a law to be taken seriously, universal laws. For those that have some sort of spirituality practice, also interested in esoteric, I think I'm pronounced it correctly, sorry if I haven't, philosophies, I don't know if it's a philosophy, but I'll circle back and I'll clean that up hopefully. But when you understand that you're 90, I've said 5, but actually it's 3% conscious and 97% subconscious, or unconscious. There's so much of what we do which is habitual. It's autopilot. You're not really exercising your full mental capacity. This is really important because the subconscious is programmable. So that gives weight to why it is important to consider if you're not really aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it, what is driving it, what is behind that, and the chances are that you are operating in ways that are not serving you, and it may have served you at some point, and this is not your fault, but you have been, and we all have been, conditioned, programmed, and on top of that had societal expectations, and we operating in a world that is actually not normal, and it's your invitation to start to see things as they really are, understand the world that you live in, because the world you could be living in is illusional, and the impact of that is you're doing things, not really questioning why you're doing things, and you may have picked up some junk. It's probably likely you've picked up a lot of junk that needs to be let go of. It's baggage, it's holding you down, it's weighing you down. And on top of that, you probably also experienced some type or some kinds of trauma along the way. And they could be big T's and little T's. It's not something I'm going to go into now, which has shaped who you are, but it's not really who you are. So, again, working on becoming more aware, more conscious of what you're doing and why you're doing it is going to be imperative, because then you'll be able to recognise through the experiences that you can take inventory of. And this is where journaling is really useful, writing things down and exercising your grey matter to see what is holding you back, because you've got control over that, your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviours, your habits. I'm trying to think one more. There's probably something, your behaviours, you've got control over that. What you don't have control over is everybody else's, yet we still try to do that. And when you take 100% responsibility and accountability for everything that happens in your life, for the inner game and the outer game to work for you, not against you, these are the kind of things that is worth your investment, your time, energy, focus and attention on, if you want to get better outcomes, if you want to get better results, because there has to be a willingness to do things differently, to change. And I know I've had some difficulties in changing things because I used to let habits get in the way. I just did things without really thinking about it. Coupled that, I had to recognise that there were ways of being that I was operating under that weren't serving me. And also on top of that, recognise that the world that I thought I lived in didn't actually exist. To do some work there to clean that up, and I'm still doing that. So, as I talk to women, I'm certain that men listen to me too, and that's okay, but I support women conscious is masculine, the subconscious is feminine, and the feminine is or can be a driving force in influencing change, and change that will give an individual more agency, more control, more power over what is within them. So I'm going to move on. So when you work on the subconscious, it requires you to become aware of your emotion, thoughts, actions, behaviour, habits, which again is why the invitation to journal is useful, because there's some things that you're aware of, there's some awareness, but most you're not aware of. So it's a place to look is your impulsivity and reactivity, and I have mentioned this so many times, and I'll keep on mentioning it, because when I recognise my impulsivity to saying yes when really I wanted to say no, the work I did on myself using certain practices enabled me to slow down my reactivity so that I could get better control over my impulsivity to react in ways that actually wasn't serving me, and 9 times out of 10 serving other people, because that's the way it works. If you're not in control of yourself, other people will control you, and there are people that are very well skilled in doing so. So this is why self-sabotage is worthy of your investment, your time, energy and attention and focus, so that when you recognise you're not where you want to be, the question starts to be why am I continuing to do things that are actually making me unhappy, miserable. I'm not connected to my joy, I'm not doing the things that I enjoy doing, because I'm coming up with excuses as to why I can't do those things, and I would suggest most of it is fear-based, being too worried about what other people think or their disappointment. Because I'm sorry to say it, the reality is if you're not in control of self and you're letting others influence you in ways that are not beneficial for you, you're going to waste a lot of time, years, maybe even your youth, on things that don't matter, do not serve you, meaningless, and before you know it, you've missed out on the opportunity to do the things that really matter to you, like travel. I know for me, reflective piece. I waited for so long to go travelling on my own because I was waiting for other people, and there's nothing I can do about it now. I did start travelling on my own in my mid-30s, and it was such an eye-opener for me to travel places like Asia, some of Americas, where else? Asia, parts of Europe, I'm trying to think, Australasia, kind of. I didn't make it to Australia, but Bali, if that counts. To open up my eyes to a world that I couldn't have experienced just through books. So, yes, take yourself off of autopilot. It will not be a wasted exercise. Hang on a minute, I just realised I've forgotten my water. I'm back. Okay. So, what is sabotage? I thought I'd give you the definition and I'll go into the definition of what self-sabotage is. Basically, sabotage is to intentionally prevent the success of a plan or action. I'll say that again. Sabotage is to intentionally prevent the success of a plan or action. And you're probably saying, why would I do that? That's not possible. That's not me. I get everything done that I want to. I am exactly where I thought I'd be. Well done if that's you. But I offer, most of us are not. Most of us are so far away, we're probably off the reservation on the things we want. So, knowing that definition, self-sabotage is when someone takes action that prevents them from achieving their goals or maintaining positive relationships. Takes actions that prevent, also convincing yourself you don't want to do what you actually want to do. Also convincing yourself you don't want to do what you actually want to do. So again, why would I do that, Karen? That's not me. That doesn't sound like me. Are you sure? Are you really sure? It's things like maybe losing weight, maybe starting a new business, maybe investing time in your business, maybe changing careers, starting a new hobby, saving money. Anything relatable to you there? There's so much more to sabotage. And if you're not aware, maybe this might help prompt something in you that might consider that you're self-sabotaging. So some signs. Negative self-talk. I know this was a big piece for me. I didn't realise how much I was focused on what I didn't want. I didn't focus at all on what I did want. And I also didn't practice enough gratitude, which I now do regularly, for what I did have, because I was so focused on what I didn't have. Self-destructive behaviours. This was another one of mine as well, always out on the time. I didn't have time to read back then, so I said, but I wasn't looking at my behaviours, my specific behaviours around being out all the time, not spending time alone, partying, drinking and whatnot. It was self-destruction. I was self-destructing, and partly because I didn't want to face some of what was coming up for me, so it was easier to bury it under distractions. Scrolling being another one. I didn't go on social media. I spend a day where I don't have any sort of time on social media. And what I learned from doing that was how I was able to do other things more meaningful. And I've set myself a target this year to read even more books. I'm reading so many different books, human behaviour and research things, and trainings, because I'm doing a course at the moment that started in October, which is deep dive into spirituality, a specific area, which has opened up other areas for me because I'm a wellness coach, wellness coach, happiness coach, mental fitness, and it was understanding areas that people struggle in the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and of course I now cover financial, because when any of those imbalances happen, they tend to create the self-sabotaging signs that I'm mentioning, constantly seeking distractions or engaging in mostly engaging in activities that are not actually worth your time. That was definitely me. Basically time wasting activities. So going out all the time, I didn't need to go out as much as I did. I mean, I had good times, but now a lot of things have changed as I've invested in myself, invested in my coaching practice, and delivering these lives, and the research the time effort that I put into them. I find that a lot more rewarding, and there are going to be pockets of time where I will give myself a break and do something completely different. But what I found was I was being nourished in a way that I wasn't being nourished when I was going out all the time. And I can be honest about that. And I appreciate when I do go out, because I know I'm not just there because I bought the ticket, I said yes, when actually I wanted to say no. It's more meaningful to me to be there, to be with people that I know and enjoy good times with. And also the destructive behaviours that came along with that meant that I'm not I'm not losing days recovering. I'm not tired to be able to attend to personal affairs. I'm able to focus on the things the books that I'm reading, my studies, my research, because I do love research. It's one of the things that I've rediscovered for myself, because I mentioned about, I think there was another live that I did the other week, when I revisited childhood passions, joys and things like that. I was able to repurpose some of the skills I learned studying academically to areas where I didn't know it was unfamiliar, uncomfortable, and this includes science, believe it or not, science, physics, metaphysics I've been looking at, and I'm starting to get pleasure from, okay, I don't know what that is about, but actually I'm going to lean into it because it's opened up my eyes to other ways that I can help women that choose to work with me, because I've got more depth to my knowledge and understanding of how I can support my clients in achieving what they're capable of, but never took the time for themselves because they're in caretaking roles, and perhaps feel limited in what they can do because of what they've been programmed. And I can really help with unpacking that, and also to deal with the heaviness of the emotions that can come up towards moving towards what is wanted, what is desirable, because you do bump up against some difficulties, because it does require you to stop certain things that are not serving you, and it does take time. But hopefully, working with me, it won't take that long. Trust me, because I had to figure out so much on my own, and with my knowledge and understanding and leaning into the specifics of what's coming up for you, I can give you some processes, some simple, actionable tips to move a lot faster than I did. Didn't know what I was doing, didn't really have the guidance, had to learn as I go, reflect on my experience, be introspective, unpack stuff that was coming up for me and to let go of stuff. Anyway, I digress. Lack of boundaries, I know that was true of me, or not clear boundaries, difficulty saying no, holding on to limiting beliefs about yourself or the world that you live in. I would highlight that. Holding on to limiting beliefs about yourself and the world you live in. Trust me, when you work on your perspective, which is like a paradigm shift, the way you see things change and you along with it. And the more work you do in this area in particular, I promise you will get to a place where things that were difficult, like saying no, gets much easier because you see things as they are, not as you want to be, because all there is here and now. And if you're seeing in yourself some of the symptoms that I'm mentioning, you will start to understand that a lot of what you're doing is misdirected. So it's taking that energy, that attention, that focus off of the stuff that's meaningless and placing it where it is going to be meaningful, so that you're fulfilled, joyful, and experiencing the things that you want, because you're only going to get this time to do that for yourself, because nobody can do it for you. It's really important you know that. Holding on to the baggage of the past, fear of failure, perfectionism. I know this is a big one for me as well, which can prevent me from doing things at all. I always think, I used to think I don't know enough yet, and you could get to a point, and I knew I was doing this when I started to do lives. When I started to do lives, I was so nervous, so fearful, saying the wrong thing, that because sometimes I struggle with pronunciation. I think that's all right. I clean up where I can when I do it. If I don't, I let it go. I'm an imperfect human being. It's important you know that there's areas you're going to be strong in, areas you're not going to be so strong in, but to focus on what you enjoy, and the rest will come with time, and that requires compassion and trust of self. And when you start to let go of perfectionism, it frees your mental and emotional capacity to do things and be okay with failing, because it's through failure that you learn. It's not through success. Yes, I get it. It's great when you can succeed and be strong in something, but you learn so much more when you fail, because it requires you to go deeper into, is it really what I want? Am I okay with it not being a certain way? Does it have to be a certain way? What's available for me, if I look at it as a learning curve, and this is the invitation to have a beginner's mindset, and this is what I would invite you to step into, the beginner's mindset. You don't know what you don't know what you don't know, because with that comes humility, and you're coachable, you're teachable, and the willingness to learn. Because if you think you know everything, I promise you, you don't. Promise you don't. Because even the most academically strong person will still have gaps in their knowledge. They perhaps do not engage the other side of the brain, which is wisdom, the part of you that knows. And when you start to increase your capacity to fail, you also open up the ideas of how you can solve what you're coming up against, because it's not about it having to look a certain way. So I hope I've made sense. I'm going to move on. And I think the last one is comparing yourself to others. The worst thing you can do, particularly if you are, I would say, a woman, because we've all had different experiences, and when you own who you are, where you are, and where it is you want to go, you fully own and step into it, you're going to find your own lane. And within that, the confidence to speak your truth, to be who you are unashamedly, and to not give a F what other people think, because they will think what they think, and you've got no control over that. So you stop controlling the uncontrollable and just control yourself. And it's a beautiful thing, because again, you know, a lot of what I talk about is energy management, and you'll see for yourself, the less time, energy, and attention you are directed in being, you're not directing and being performative for people that cannot be pleased anyway, the more you can embrace those things that are quirky about you and let them rip. So, okay, that's me. I'll come off my pulpit, if that's the right word to say. So, what can self-sabotage look like? It can look like, I know this is a big picture for me, it was saying yes when you really want to say no, you actually want to say no. Self-sabotage, so again, you're spending time on things that are not important, not meaningful to you, actually will create resentment in self, anger, because you're wasting your precious time, your vitality, and you're not doing the things that are important to you. Being too hard on yourself, this links to negative self-talk, internal critic. Never taking breaks, even when you're exhausted. Procrastination and negative thoughts. Again, that links back to what I was saying, perfectionism touches there, negative thinking patterns touching there, comparing yourself, so you think you're not good enough. Get underneath what that is about. Taking on more responsibility than you can handle. Are you taking too much? Are you busy because you keep yourself distracted from actually taking care of what needs to be taken care of? Are you not spending enough time being? We're human beings, not human doings. Very important you know that. Human beings, not human doings. So, I'm going to go into what action you can take. It's going to be, I say top level, and the reason being that it does require some deep diving. So I'm giving you places to look, the symptoms. There are causes, which we'll say are mostly fear-based in nature. It certainly was for me. Also, for me, was difficulties with my self-concept, who I thought I was in relation to the world. Unrealistic or high expectations, and this could include ones that are placed on you. Self-esteem is a big one for my ladies. Self-esteem causes, if you have low self-esteem, it does cause you to indulge in things that are not for you. I'll give you an example of mine. People pleasing. Something I've worked really hard on. It still shows up in pockets, and I'm okay with that because I will make the adjustments when I clock it. Okay. My notes. Just seeing if there's anything else I've missed here to be covered. So it's also recognising that self-sabotage can be really sneaky. So it's identifying for yourself the ways it shows up for you. And it tends also to show up amidst challenge. So when you're challenged, really take a close look at how you show up in challenge, because challenge is unavoidable. It's really important you recognise there are going to be things that are going to happen, circumstances, events, situations that are going to happen, some of which are outside your control. So it's reducing the impact of the ways you show up that sabotage yourself, so that you stand a better chance, you give yourself a higher propensity to achieve your plans, actions and goals. So take a look at when you're in moments of anxiety, worry, stress, you're confused or overwhelmed. And these are also indicators of you're not clear, lack of clarity. And around that, you will sabotage if you're not clear. You can't be decisive. You can't get organised because you're in chaos, you're scattered, you're disorganised. You could be possibly giving away your power because you're deferring your decision. You're foggy, you're spaced out. Look at whether these are the things that are coming up for you. Because if you lack clarity and you're operating in chaos or confusion, it is going to cut you off from the part of you that knows what's best for you. And this requires you to go deeper into the things I mentioned earlier, negative self-talk or your inner critic. It's the voice that says, oh, you can't do that. What makes you think you're good enough? Compared to that, you're comparing yourself to this person saying, oh, well, that's not available for me because I'm not them. You're comparing their day 50 to your day 1, for example. And social media, particularly Instagram, because it's very illusionary, I hope I pronounced that correctly, might give you a sense of not good enough, not looking a certain way, not being perfect, but it's not rooted in reality. It's based on what society think is normal and really isn't. And I want to steer you away from comparing yourself to people that are not walking in your shoes, don't really know anything about you, and you don't really know that much about them. You're probably getting suckered into their illusion of who they are, and that's okay. They maybe are that thing, but they're not really giving you the negatives. They're not really giving you the full picture, the full story. So one of the things I've learned to do is to reduce my time on social media as a result, root out people from my social media. Some are still there. I mean, it's been when I've got time that I no longer relate to. Doesn't mean that when I see them out, I can't break bread with them, but we're on different paths that don't necessarily inspire me. And that is okay. I'm giving you that permission slip to say, this is for me, this isn't. Let it go. Learn to let what doesn't serve you go. I promise you, your life will be more rich as a result because you're being intentional about what is meaningful to you, and that does mean letting things go that don't serve you. I can't stress that enough. So, again, really clock, finding reasons not to act, excuses, really take a look at what's coming up for you, not asking for what you're worth. Especially when you put it in the hands of others, don't expect them to give you that, because if you search for validation in other people, you're also giving them the power to starve you of that validation. It's really important you take that on board. Oops. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of an accident, I just realised. My candles decided to have a blast on my carpet. Okay, I'll attend to this later, so I better wrap this up because I didn't realise my candles decided to explode all over my carpet. Okay. Not asking for support, it's really important to ask for help when you need it, but also to recognise when you need support, because you can't do everything alone. So take a look at that if that's true for you, if that's preventing you from moving forward. Doubting yourself and your gifts is another one. Listening to dream stealers, people that are not on your path, somehow think they know what is best for you. They don't. No one can know you better than you. So if you take the time, energy and attention to really unpack for yourself who you are, and where you're going, you'll have a better understanding of who can support you in moving forward, rather than listen to people to keep you where you are because that's all they know. That's okay. You know, change can be a scary thing, but that's no reason or excuse to hold someone back if they inspire to do things differently, if they inspire to grow, if they aspire to progress. Part of that is the journey. That journey is a solo one. So the invitation there is to maybe let go of the idea that you need to play small, that you are somehow taking from other people. You're not. Being focused on yourself means you can be the best you can be with the time you have available to you, because you never know when your time's going to be up. And I cannot focus you enough on being the best you can, taking advantage of your gifts and making a greater impact, but a positive impact, not a negative impact. You want to make a legacy, you want to be purposeful. You can't do that if you're focused on everybody else. It's just not possible. Okay. And I think I'm going to end on have fun, relax more. That's probably an odd way to finish your self-sabotage. Have a bit more fun, because again, it's a non-linear process. Non-linear is it's not straight line with any particular outcome, but let it be a process where you're not thinking all the time, you're exploring, it's exploration. And the more you explore what is for you, rather than what is not for you, it will open up a new world for you. Take it from somebody who knows. Anyway, I'm going to get off this live because of this meltdown on my thing, my carpet. I hope you've enjoyed watching the live. Thank you for joining me. I see you. I appreciate you. Please do like, comment, share this post. I would appreciate you. It's going up onto YouTube hopefully tonight. I probably won't do a big summary, because it's my hope that you are listening, you're taking notes, if that's of interest to you. I've mentioned journaling. I would also invite you to write a thought cloud for yourself. What do I mean, Karen? Write on a piece of paper. Spend maybe an hour making one word what you've been thinking about, articulate into one word, and see if there's any commonality, and if you can expand on that. Maybe spend like a couple of hours when you remember, what is it I'm thinking about? Another tip I'll give you, wear an elastic band on your wrist, and every time you notice, and this is not for you masochists out there, but just to gently pull on it, and just to notice how many times you're pulling on it when you are aware of having a negative thought. That's a big tip for you there, so that you can start to see what the internal dialogue is. Journaling is very good, so you can start to see some of the beliefs that you could be operating under. What do you mean, Karen? What is it that you're telling yourself? So, some questions. I did have it written down. I did have it written down. I've lost it. Okay, so some questions. What is holding you back? What is blocking you in a key area of life? Business, career, relationship, financial, health. I'm trying to think what others. I think that's it for now. I'm getting really tired. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll catch you sometime next week.